This is Tuesday, July 21st, 2020, meeting of the Berlin Board of Health. As a preliminary matter, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. My name is Paul McKelk, Chair of the Board of Health. Members, I'll call your name and just please say present. Sue Regera.
Present.
Bob Wheeler.
Present.
And from the Schober Associated Boards of Health, we have Bill Brookings.
Present.
Okay. And Leanne Leahy will be assisting today's meeting.
Present.
I call this meeting to order at 7:02 thereabouts on July 21st, 2020. The open meeting of the Berlin Board of Health is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, wow, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Berlin website at www.townofberlin.com. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, provided reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. While no in-person attendance of members of the public is permitted, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. The standard public comment portion of this meeting will accommodate limited public comment. For this meeting, the Berlin Board of Health is convening using the Zoom platform as posted on the agenda, identifying how the public may join. The public is encouraged to follow along during this meeting using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Supporting materials that are available this evening to members of the board can be made available to the public by request. Excuse me. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to assure accurate meeting minutes, excuse me. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will invite each member by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you, state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with each other, please do so through me, taking care to identify yourself. To the extent that our technical capability allows, public comment will be permitted during the public comment portion of this meeting as follows. Attendees' phones and other devices will be muted unless and until they raise their hand and are recognized by me to speak. I ask each member of the public who wishes to speak to identify their name, and I will afford each speaker time to ask a question or make a brief comment. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. And with all that being said, let us proceed with tonight's meeting. I'm looking at the agenda, and we have the Davises in attendance. And I think I would like to jump and go right to them unless there are reasons not to do that. Any objections?
Good. I'm good.
Okay,
Okay, I'll promote them up to panelists.
please.
There we go. Oh, looks like I still have my Star Wars background up.
Oh, hey,
I just figured I learned how to shut it off, Kirk.
I can get rid of that for you.
no, that's,
There you go.
there are probably some other things you'd like to get rid of too, but that's another story for another day.
Exactly.
All right. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for taking the time. We've been talking to Billy recently about potentially applying for a variance request around the installer's as-built. The same issue we've had that's been going on that's been keeping it temporary occupancy. And it was Billy that suggested we come to the meeting to talk to the group more to see if it is even something that the board would consider, so as to not waste anybody's time if it was simply a non-starter.
Sure. Okay. So with that said, I take it you're not getting anywhere with your installer?
No, so the situation is this, the demand letter went out to the contractor. He took the full 30 days, requested an extension the morning of, and then put in a half-hearted response that afternoon. So this is gonna end up going to litigation. It's not something that's gonna be resolved anytime soon.
Right.
The interesting thing is in the response letter, he claimed the installer in full. So.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
In part of his response letter, he claims that he paid the installer in full out of his own funds. So at this point, there's not a reason why the installer wouldn't be providing that as built if he's being truthful. That's to be determined later.
There's solid logic there, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So, so we have the legal response stating that the installer has been paid, which leaves the installer in violation of the 30 days, which he was supposed to be providing the as-built. The biggest thing for us right now is only having the temporary occupancy really, especially with everything going on right now, really ties our hands if, God forbid, we had to refinance or do anything with the house. We're dead in the water right now. Knock on wood, we're not in that situation, but it's unsettled times, and it just left us a little uneasy, which is why we reached out to Billy about the process, and then he suggested we bring it to the board to have a discussion and see if it was even something that you would consider.
Okay. I'll start by making a comment that I haven't run into this situation before. Defer it to Bill. Have you run into this type of situation before in this town?
I have in Bolton, and just to let you know why I had the Davises talk to the board tonight was, again, this is obviously a precedent-setting variance where we haven't granted it in the past, and didn't want them to go through the time and expense of setting up a hearing if the board knows that they wouldn't consider it. I've had this situation in Bolton before. You know, DEP, the agency that governs and creates Title V, truly says that, you know, the installer's responsibility is to submit that as-built within 30 days of completion of the system. and not hold it for, funds or whatever reason he's holding it for. Bolton didn't really see that as good logic. They felt like that was the only piece of paper the installer would have to hold for payment, so they didn't choose to pursue the installer in that case. And eventually things worked out between builder and installer, and we did get the as-built. But it doesn't sound like this the Davis's situation is going to resolve that way.
Well, that being said, I think it's safe to say that this is a first for the local board. And anytime we're dealing with a first, we're dealing with the likelihood of setting precedent. And I personally, and I'll poll the other members, I'm hesitant to do that. I hear what you're saying about a certain dis-ease or unease. Fortunately, that's not your current situation. And I guess I would say that I would rather cross that bridge when we come to it, if at all necessary. I too wouldn't want to see you waste money on the hearing notices and all that, only to have the board, and I'm just speaking for myself right now, possibly deny that variance. Bobby, your thoughts?
I agree pretty much with the precedent, Paul. Billy, the question is there any way we can have as-built plans, or there were plans that they abided by that you inspected, correct?
Yeah, we have the engineers as-built. All the inspections were done, correct? But again, the code does require both installer and engineer to submit.
Right. We just have engineered.
Yep.
Okay. Well, it's precedent setting. I think, like you say, Paul, I think we should maybe see what, I don't know which way to go, give you an extension and.
Well,
We'll try to-
currently the temporary occupancy has been extended as needed. I don't think that's the issue.
No, that's not an issue, and
Right.
I don't see an issue with that. Let me ask a question of you, Bill. Just for clarification purposes, the installers as-built, the engineer submits an as-built as well, or just his design plan?
It's an as-built. Often it's an overlay on the design plan showing the actual location and elevation of the house, the well, the components. And he also provides a certification that the system's installed per code. And the installer's as-built is much simpler. It usually ties from corners of the house to the tank and the D-box, but again, also certifies that the system was installed per code. Because again, the installer's there. The engineer and I stop by from time to time. The installer is truly there during the whole installation, and therefore he's verifying that his work, even when not seen by myself or the engineer, is done per code.
Okay. Sue, any thoughts on your part, please?
Oh, I don't have any experience either putting in a septic system, new or old. So I was just wondering, is this something we need to pass by legal? Is your opinion on?
I think it's illegal now.
Yeah, I don't know that legal would be necessary on the town's behalf. I mean, this is really a board decision. If you felt more comfortable, you could certainly run it by town council.
So if we went and had a variance hearing, we're just requesting variance to accept this as built, correct?
No, I think, and Heather,
The engineers,
if I'm wrong, the request would be to not require the installers as-built and to allow sign off on the system, a certificate of compliance, and I assume full occupancy be granted without that as-built being submitted.
How could that affect us in the future?
Well, again, it's if the situation arose again, there'd be documentation that you know that would be allowed. You know, sign off without that as built. That would be the precedent.
And that would open up a whole can of worms for somebody else who doesn't want to do that.
Well, potentially, again, you know, it's a unique
Potentially.
situation.
I mean, this is certainly a unique,
Rare bird.
unique situation, a rare bird, one-off or whatever. I guess I would like to get an opinion from our town council before saying yes to anything like this. I'm not saying it's out of the question, but it's not something that, because it's the first time, it's not something that certainly I, as chairman, am comfortable saying, yeah, okay, let's do it. And I understand where you're coming from. You guys have done everything that's been asked of you in the past. So, I mean, it's a challenging situation, but we have to watch our backsides here as well.
No, of course, we completely understand that. And as you're running it by town council, do you need any information from us? Would you like copies of the demand, the back and forth, the letter that says that the installer has been paid, those kind of things? Or do you just want to talk about it in general with council and then before getting into specifics?
Let me find out. That information may be helpful, but before we start churning the paperwork.
Yeah, I don't want you guys to
let me
spend a
get
lot of money either.
Let me get some direction, some feedback before we request that of you. Bobby, you got your hand raised.
Yeah, when does your current occupancy temporary expire, you guys? Heather and Chris, when does your current one expire? I think we lost them.
They're frozen right now. That should be in our records, Bobby. I mean, it
Oh,
comes-
yeah, no, I just wondered, do we gotta lengthen that right now or
It was
not?
the fall. I think it was like October or something. I know we marked it down on
Okay.
that
Yep.
meeting.
No, that's not something we'll act on until the date comes
Right,
around.
that's
right?
great.
No.
Oh, they're there.
Okay, can you hear
No,
us
there
again?
we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
All
good.
right,
Sorry.
with
We
all
have
that being
over.
said, let me let this board do a little digging with our town administrator and our attorneys, town attorneys. And I will get back to you, or Bill will get back to you relative to any documents that could prove helpful in this pursuit.
Okay,
okay.
very good. Thank you very much for your time. I
Thank you, guys.
appreciate
I
it.
appreciate it.
no problem, you guys.
Thank
Stay
you.
cool.
Nice.
Take care,
Yeah.
everyone.
Hang in there.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Bill, why don't you take the floor with things that you have, please?
Yeah, you want to start with that discussion list. The FEP representation letter is a letter that the region asks for each year, allowing either Kayleen, Ira, or Jim from my office to vote on the town's behalf, when acquiring, FEP requisitions, things for, that's the whole bioterrorism funding and items that we have down in the cage. So if a board member is not at a meeting, this letter allows someone from my office to vote on the board's behalf. Because again, a lot of our towns are in that region. So we do this for a number of towns.
Now, does Neshoba have a form letter that we sign, or do we need to construct a letter?
What I did was I took last year's letter, redlined it, and gave it to Annette for drafting. So hopefully I'll have that in hand soon, and I'll let you know when it's at the office for signature.
Okay, all right. I don't have a problem. Anybody else? Any issues with that?
No,
No,
we didn't.
sir.
Seems to
Yeah.
make sense.
Do we all have to sign it or just can you, Paul, or?
Probably one I'm going to assume one signature is fine, and I'll sign it.
Great.
Oh, River Road, Marlborough Road.
Yeah, I don't know. I did forward you that information the day I got it. I don't know if conservation has been in touch with you, but again, I think, Paul, you can fill in the blanks, but I think conservation's looking for an opinion from the board as to whether or not, a lot that straddles the Berlin Hudson line can have a home in Berlin and tie into Hudson Town and Water, I'm sorry, Water and Sewer. I don't see it as an issue. We really don't have any jurisdiction over Hudson Utilities. So if the lot has frontage in Hudson and has a letter that indicates a home can be built using them, I don't see where we'd have an issue. But again, certainly if there's any questions, let's talk about them.
Well, I've had conversations with Margaret, with Carolyn from Concom. I guess it was just those two. And my feeling is currently Berlin has no bylaw that addresses this type of situation. And I think it's really a planning board issue. I did get an email from a concerned citizen that said to, deny it and let the chips fall where they may. I don't really consider that sage advice. Personally, I don't think that's the way we should do business. And I have seen, Margaret forwarded me a document from a Hudson official, and according to what I read, everything, all connecting lines, any and all work were taking place on the Hudson side of the lot, which to me takes us out of the loop entirely. And if Concom has any recourse, I think it's on them, because I don't see that we are empowered to really act almost one way or another on this. It's a non-issue because it's not in Berlin.
Yeah, I don't know, Paul, I don't know what grounds the board would have to deny a building permit if they're showing water and sewer as their means of sewage disposal and water supply. I really don't.
I don't either. Does anybody see any holes in that? Bobby?
No, I don't, Paul. I think that's, if anybody, it'd be conservation that issues, not us. They're not putting a system in, or they're not putting a well in, so I guess we're clear of any land issue.
Yeah, and yeah, they're not disturbing, the information I've been shown, they're not disturbing anything in Berlin that
Yep.
comes under Board of Health jurisdiction, possibly conservation, but I don't even know that. So I guess I would recommend that, I don't know if we can recommend taking no action on this, but we certainly can't deny it. Is that adequate, Bill, or do we need to?
Yeah, I really don't know that we need to take any action. Once we see a building permit and we have the documentation that sewer and water are available, we could move forward with the sign off. On the
Right.
other end of River Road, closer to Hudson, I just signed off on a permit just beyond Gates Pond Road, where
Right.
the house will be, I think the house is almost all in Berlin, but it's going to have Hudson water and, believe it or not, a septic system in Hudson. So I required them to provide us with a copy of Hudson's permit. And, it matches the bedrooms of the house they're proposing. So I signed that off because, again, it's in Hudson. So as long as I know Hudson's approved it, we don't really have any jurisdiction there.
Right.
That's got Hudson water too, Billy?
It will have Hudson water, but it will have a septic. I thought it would have sewer, but I guess there was an issue with paving and cutting the road. So they just went with the
Yep.
septic. It's all
Yep.
sand, so it's pretty straightforward. And I did, I emailed, I think his name was Eduardo over in Hudson, and he got right back to me, a copy of the permit. So, yeah.
Good.
All right. Moving along to the next item.
Yeah, 249 River Road was a home that was built a few years back, and the house and the system didn't need a variance, but there was a proposed barn in the back of the property that if it received water and was going to have a bathroom in it, the sewer line length from the barn to the system was going to exceed 100 feet. So at that time, we said, well, when that barn is built, that's when we'll address that variance. So I thought we might be scheduling that, but the builder has since gotten in touch with me and said that it won't have services, just be a barn with no services. So if I can confirm that, right now it would be a non-issue unless down the road they wanted to put water and septic tie-in, and then they'd have to seek the variance at that time.
Okay. All
So
right.
right now, that's kind of on hold. I'll talk to the builder tomorrow or Thursday to verify that.
That works. Berlin Orchards irrigation well.
Yeah, Jerry's proposing irrigation well. He did years back, but actually never installed it, but he is moving forward now. I did speak to the state because it is a public water supply well that supplies, the business on Sawyer Hill Road. This well's, far away from that area. We've got a plan that shows it, and the state said there were no issues. So I'll move forward with the permit unless the board has any questions.
Okay. All right.
I'm okay.
That works. We did 104 Crosby, mask complaints.
Yeah, I think Paul and I have been out. I've been out on 4. Again, we're not mentioning specifics unless they become repeat offenders. Sometimes we get an email, a phone call. I take a ride out, or Paul will take a ride out, talk to whoever's in charge, take a look around. The times I've been out on complaints, when I've arrived, I found that there were no issues. They were wearing masks. So, we just do random stop-bys at these places and see that they're doing what they need to do.
And we'll just continue to do that as needed.
Yes.
Sort of relates, but we had gotten a complaint that the arcade at the Solomon Pond Mall was open, and that is in Berlin, and that I went and scoped it out one night, and then the next day, after confirming it was in Berlin, and that type of operation is scheduled in phase 4. I was accompanied by a couple of our local officers, and I went there and talked to the gal manning the place. She called her manager, and they closed it down. And then I went and informed mall management that we had done so, and everything was pretty vanilla and no issues. As an aside comment, I wouldn't want to pay for 1 hour of their electric bill. It's incredible down there. They're just... So anyhow, we closed them down because they had opened, and I think they were going by old information, or they claimed to, and but they had little or no business, so I don't think it was a big deal for them. Phase 3-4 reopening issue.
That was the one.
Okay, same thing. Okay. NRP.
Yeah, that's just kind of a rolling topic in case there's any updates. Again, we've been receiving the reports. I don't know if there's been any issues out there, Paul.
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't stopped in lately. Probably a little overdue to do that, but they seem, based on the last couple times, they seem to be following protocols. I think they're interested in getting the project finished and getting out of Dodge.
Mm-hmm.
Northbrook Village 2.
Again, that's really just an update. We continue to get those letters, and I think they're occupying more units there. I don't know if there's any left unoccupied. I'd have to take a look at the latest letter, but I think progress is finally being made.
I did get a complaint about overflowing dumpsters. I went there. and everything had been handled. I've stopped in a couple times subsequently, and it appears their new hauler, who, as far as I know, is based on the outskirts of Boston, is keeping up with things. Don't know how management manages to make these decisions when there are a lot of local viable haulers, but
Right.
could be, well, who knows? Who knows? All right, moving to permits. Title V inspection.
Yeah, no permits this meeting, and the Title V inspections there are 36 Peach Hill Road, 151 Coburn Road, and Brook Lane is the 55 plus project
Right.
up the river. And we have systems 2 and 3, and all 4 of those reports were passes, so no issues there.
Okay. And Crystal Club from Clinton was interested in having their annual golf tournament at Berlin Country Club. We've submitted the requirements to do that. That was before the, before the select board last night. Don't know what transpired, but in conversations with Bill, I forwarded to Margaret that, you know, they need the one-day permit from Bridget. They need porta potties from a license and a Neshoba hauler, hand wash station, sanitizers, maximum of 100 people, including any working staff, signage relative to protocols, all the basic things. And I think their original request was for something like 160 golfers. So,
Right. Yeah.
you know, I know it's an annual event and it's a fundraiser, but my sidebar comment is that, and I guess it's understandable because it's a once a year thing, that they really didn't provide the town of Berlin with a great deal of lead time to process everything and communicate all the needs. And dealing with volunteer organizations, that often happens, I guess. So, make a long story short, I don't know whether that's going to happen or not, but they're aware of what they have to do. And I don't know if anybody, if there's any information on the Town of Berlin website on how the select board acted or what they did last night for action. Bill, do you have anything else?
No, just that again, I forwarded you that email from DPH,
Yes.
and we'll take a peek at that and get it to Margaret and see if how that affects the decision. Yep.
You want me to forward that to her, or you, or what?
If you've got it, I didn't have her email.
Okay, I'll forward it to her. Yeah, that's not a problem.
And I'll be at the town office Thursday at the latest, maybe tomorrow, but Thursday at the latest. Yep.
Okay, okay. Sounds good.
That is all I have.
Sue, Bobby, you got anything else for Bill?
I do not have anything for Bill, and I don't have anything for either one of you either. It's a first.
Geez, thanks.
Wow.
Well, with
That's
that,
like telling us to take a hike?
No, but I'll invite you over. You can play with my fan, you know?
Leanne, do we have anybody watching us?
There is nobody in attendance.
Ah, thank God for small favor.
all right, so I'll say good night, and Paul, we'll be talking.
Yes,
Oh,
we will.
what, Billy,
Yeah.
just one, next week, next meeting is the Facile meeting and that stuff, or?
August 4th, I think. Yep. As far as I know, I spoke to the engineer. I think it was Friday, Thursday. I don't know. Last week, and you know, I
Yeah.
stressed to her that the you know, the newspaper ad, as usual, people get held up. So I said, make sure you can make that happen at least 10 days prior. And I haven't heard from them since. So I assume it's moving forward. Because if
Okay.
it wasn't, I told them to let me know and we'd bump it out to the next meeting in August. But
Yeah, that might be better. I don't know, like you say, that's a new construction law, correct?
Both of them are, and they are
Yeah.
asking for a number of variances, but the variances they're asking for are being addressed in the board's revisions. That's their only hope.
Okay, I see. Yep. Thank you. That's all, Billy. I'm
All
sorry.
right. Have a good one.
Question to the other board members relative to those revisions. Do we want to go ahead and have a Zoom hearing, or are you folks okay with kind of treading water, hoping that we can get back into, face-to-face meetings so that we can post a hearing and deal with very interested parties, including contractors? I personally would like to wait. I don't see where it's critical that we do something right away, but I'd like your input.
As far as I'm concerned, the work is done, and if we need to wait, we can wait. I know that some of the contractors actually hate Zoom, so they are not willing to give any input. We received no input from any of the contractors or anything else, so no emails, nothing. So
Well, I guess they're happy that, we've worked on it to that point, and those are variances that we commonly grant. It's really kind of housekeeping and cleaning up things, so, and I really don't like the idea of a Zoom hearing, particularly where at least one or two other town boards are going to get involved. I think it's better done in person if we can hold on. I'd be willing to change my mind should forces so behave, but right now I think that's the approach we'll take.
I agree.
for the first time, it's just starting to get quiet. It's kind of like pre-COVID.
That'll come right around in the head, so.
Yeah.
I see you're still with us, Bill.
Well, I heard you mention the regs. I figured I'd hang out for that. I think
Oh,
that's
all right, sorry, yeah, I guess to summarize, we're not gonna take any definitive action on those right now.
that was my understanding. I think the draft is finalized, but I think
Right.
you and the board
Yeah.
felt that wait for if it's in the foreseeable future, wait for an actual in-person meeting, which I think is a fine idea. I think you'd get more attendance and more input at an actual meeting.
Yeah, and I think the discourse would be operationally would work better
Yeah,
in a public meeting as
sure.
opposed to over Zoom or any other platform.
But like Sue said, the work's done. I mean, the document's ready. So it's just a matter of formalizing it.
Yep.
All right. On that, I'll
Okay.
say good night.
Sorry to keep you hanging on, but yeah, we're good.
Good night.
Night, Billy.
Okay. Bobby, you saw the email from the town treasurer?
Yeah. I kind of went to school with her, so I probably shouldn't be fraternizing with her, but yeah, she's not above, she's my age, so she's 61, Paul. I don't think she needs an elderly sticker, and there's 2 occupants of that house. I don't know what the deal is there. It's her and a younger, they're both under 65, I think. I don't know what to say about that.
Well, they wouldn't qualify for a 70+ sticker,
Right.
but that's the rate they tried to pay.
No, yeah, no, they're in like everybody else.
The letter from Donna it was, she would have sent them a letter saying, I'm returning your check because
Right.
you need to send us 195 or
Mhm.
whatever. And they didn't do that, and they sounded all confused as to why they should have to.
Well, they might be confused about, low income, but nothing about age. I mean, there's neither one of them are, so that's not an issue. And I honestly don't know about assessors. That's not us. It's assessors, with the other end of it.
Your name has to be on the assessor's list.
Correct.
And so I don't know what their issue is.
Yeah. No,
We
you're
are
giving them
we are separate from the assessors. We can't orchestrate anything with the
Right.
assessors. It's kind of black and white.
Yep.
And seeing as how, you know her and you know the ages and so forth, Bobby, I'd like you to give her a shout and see if you can walk her through what the deal is here. I mean, it should
all
be
right. Yeah.
could be black and white, but we have experienced already at the transfer station individuals trying to play some games relative to saving a few bucks, and one person, quote unquote, said, well, I thought I could maybe get away with it, and it fessed up to the reality. So I'm not saying that's the case here, but
Right.
it seemed clear to us, and maybe it's not clear to everybody. So
Right.
sometimes we have to do a little hand holding. That's all.
Yep. Well, each residence needs a sticker. We know that. We're not doing this, and if it's a double apartment, there's someone in it, well, I think that's two. With her, like I say, with those, I think it's just a basic thing. You have to explain to them that trash places are going up. They are actually fortunate because we could be charging $3 a bag, which we're not, and on top of the sticker price. So I'll try to nicely explain it and see how we come out.
There's a company from, I don't know if they're from Maynard or whatever, they sent flyers, Mr. Trashman. I don't know if you got one. I got one. I posted it in the lobby. If you tally it out for the year, it's between $450 and $500 a year for their curbside pickup.
Yeah, and they're
So,
limited.
The amount of cost of fuel to drive to the transfer station, ours is still a pretty decent deal, all things considered.
Right.
So
Curbside is limited to certain items too, right, Paul?
I would think so.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, I'll try to give that a call.
All right. Give Sue and I a heads up on how you make out, just
Yeah.
so, and
Yeah, I'll just explain it.
so she doesn't keep calling Dennis.
Yeah, well, it's a little, there's other issues there too.
All right. Well, anything else? Otherwise, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn. If you need help on an inspection or anything, Paul, call. I'm around again.
Okay. Do I hear that motion seconded?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bobby? Aye.
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Paul? Aye.